I'm one of those people that it takes a lot for me to go to the doctor, and that's just my own issue. That's not an endorsement one way or the other. But I- you know, because of my own issue, I just don't have a doctor. I don't really go, and even if I'm sick, I don't. That's not really what I think about doing. Which the downfall of that is probably that I'll never catch anything early if ever there's something that's starting to build up. But what I'm told is that those that do go to the doctor, they go for their ordinary checkup and the doctors will do whatever they do. And they may say something like, hey, your blood pressure is rising and we need to pay attention. And hey, your cholesterol is high. We need to start making some changes. Hey, there's an irregular heartbeat going on. Let's look a little bit further into that. And maybe the person might say, well, I mean, like, I feel fine, like, I don't feel any different than I did, in the past. Everything seems to be okay, but a good doctor will say, yes, but these are some pretty serious warning signs. It's already bad enough that these things are happening, but if they go unchecked and if they go unnoticed, it could lead to some even more severe, serious problems. Typically, you don't just have a heart attack out of nowhere. Although externally it might seem that way to a lot of us outside looking in. But usually, if there's a heart attack, there were signs that went either noticed or unnoticed, but there were things pointing towards that experience. And so a good doctor is not simply in the business of preventing catastrophic medical events, although that's obviously a big part of what they want to prevent. But good doctors are also interested in overall holistic health so that you are healthy, happy, and thriving, and that you would never even get close to those catastrophic health emergencies. So I use that analogy because in some ways it kind of can be an image for us as we seek to understand what Jesus is doing on the Sermon on the Mount. We've already received the 10 Commandments in the Old Testament. God gave them to Moses, and most of those commandments are very visible, very external, things that we can kind of observe someone else follow or not follow from a distance. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not lie. And so you can kind of, they're very external and very serious things. So Jesus then takes it a step deeper, a little bit further inside our heart and our soul, and shows us how important it still is a major issue, even though we have sins that may not be quite as noticeable. Things that are going on inside of us with our thoughts and our interior choices. It's still a big deal. So he says, you shall not kill, and whoever kills will be held liable to judgment. But I say to you, whoever is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. And so often people, usually whenever they're nervous and they don't really quite know what to say, especially whenever they're trying to give an excuse for why they don't really need to go to confession, they'll say, Father, I mean, I haven't killed anybody. Now, with great reverence here, if you have killed somebody, I encourage you to turn yourself in and then come to confession. All right. Not the other way around. No, but okay, fine. Most of us, I would probably assume, have not killed anybody, but how many of us have been angry with someone? How many of us have held a grudge against someone? How many of us have slandered and detracted someone, used harsh words to destroy their reputation? How many of us have hatred within our heart that just grows each day towards someone, maybe someone that we're close to, or maybe even someone we've never met before, but we just can't stand them and we hate them. And there's so much anger. By analogy, it's kind of like this blood pressure. It's like maybe no one even knows that you have this anger within you. But it's like high blood pressure, like it's still a serious thing. And if it goes unchecked, it leads to worse and worse sins. It builds upon itself. We need to pay attention to it. The same could be said, or a similar thing could be said about the sixth commandment: you shall not commit adultery. Now, with great reverence here, adultery is more common than we give credit. So there may be some in the room that have experienced this either personally or someone or on the receiving end. So if that's your case, I just want to speak with great mercy and encouragement towards God's grace. But let's think about this for a second. Like, we don't just, you don't just commit the sin of adultery out of nowhere. It starts with thoughts. Even before the thoughts, it starts with what we expose ourselves to, what we watch on television, or the screen time from our phone and the apps that we choose to spend time on. It starts with our conversations that we have that are just more promiscuous, more inappropriate, more lustful. And maybe there are some more lustful, inappropriate actions that we just kind of, don't really pay too much, or we kind of convince ourselves, well, no one's getting hurt. No one even knows about this. It's just, it's just something that people do. We act like it's no big deal, but the thing is, it builds on each other. It leads to a more and more impure heart and a more impure mind. And there's issues there. We start to see people in ways that are degrading. We start to use people selfishly. And, nobody decides that, I'm going to be someone who commits adultery. That's the type of person I'm going to be. Nobody wants to be that person, but it happens. And then it happens. And you're like, how did I even get here? Well, maybe your cholesterol was getting higher and higher and you didn't do anything about it. The third one that Jesus brings up here in the short version of the gospel is the false oaths, making your word ring true. Let your yes mean yes, your no mean no. Think about how easy it is for us to just kind of bend to the truth a little bit. Maybe out of fear, we don't want to fully admit the fullness of the story or the circumstance. Or, for the sake of getting a good laugh or getting people to like us, we just kind of exaggerate the truth a little bit. Or in an effort to be more persuasive, we, might even tell a little bit of a fib or a bigger lie. And the thing is, it starts to build upon itself. And none of us would claim that we're, the type of person that lies. We're not a liar. I'm not that kind of person. Nobody wakes up and says, oh, you know what? I think I'll be a liar. That'll be my identity. But all of a sudden, if you just might wake up one day like, oh my gosh, how did I get here? One little fib led to another fib that led to another stretching of the truth. And then all of a sudden, all the lies. My word doesn't mean anything anymore. It's like an irregular heartbeat. And you never got tested. You never got screened. And all of a sudden, you have a serious issue, serious cardiac event. So Jesus is challenging us to take the moral law interior, to go deeper, to recognize that even quote unquote small sins are big deals because it does not contribute to our overall health and holiness and happiness. We were created for God. We were created for love. We were created for charity, love of God, love of neighbor. We were created for the fruits of the Holy Spirit, joy and peace. But instead, we have this inner turmoil because we just kind of make all these concessions here and there and then don't really pay attention to it and just convince ourselves like, well, we feel okay. We're fine. Until all of a sudden, major issue, major cardiac event on a spiritual level. And we wonder, how did I get here? I'm not that kind of person. So we're approaching Lent, a couple days away. I hope everyone has a joyful and temperate but fun couple of days for Mardi Gras. But anyway, Ash Wednesday starts Lent, and we have this liturgical season that's just kind of here for us to grow, to go deeper into our faith. And we get whatever we put into it. And we have to ask ourselves, like, why do we do these things for Lent? You know, if you're going to give up something or do something extra, we need like a firm why. And if we do Lent correctly, then we give up something or we do something extra or both that's challenging enough to where it's actually a little difficult and inconvenient, and that we may even be a little imperfect at it. And those are the moments we have to remember our why. And my challenge to you is, okay, what if the why is to make the moral law more interior? In other words, to purify our heart and to purify our mind, to get rid of some of these poisonous habits that we've just kind of gotten used to, that we've convinced ourselves is no big deal. What if we took Lent as an opportunity to let go of some of that, or all of it? So you can do it two ways. You can do a Lenten penance that's more directly connected to one of these vices or sins, or something that's more indirectly connected. So I'll give a few examples. So maybe you notice that after you watch the news every day, you just get so mad, just so angry. And then that anger just kind of spews to like a shortness and impatience while you're driving. And now nobody knows how to drive. And you just don't understand why anybody can understand why can't they drive? And then all of a sudden you go to work and then that person's so rude. And then they bring up the news and, oh, you're off in a tizzy again about the news and the world is just so horrible. And suddenly you start to realize when you reflect, like, oh, I'm watching too much news. So maybe a good Lenten penance is, turn the news off, or allow yourself to, catch up on the news like once a week, something like that, Or let's go to the other one. Maybe you notice that, you just can't help but like pick up your phone out of your pocket. Like anytime there's free time, you just pick it up and then you start scrolling. And it seems harmless at first, but then like something pops up on your screen and it's like, oh shoot, lustful thought, curiosity leads to something else. You're watching TV and then there's a scene that's inappropriate, but it's just like you convince yourself there's just nothing good to watch these days. And what, am I going to stop watching TV? I don't. So, you just keep on doing it. And all of a sudden you start to realize like you're filled with lustful thoughts and you're doing these lustful things that you shouldn't. Well, maybe a good Lenten penance is to cut out the social media or to turn off the TV and see what that does for you. Or another directly related. So maybe you notice that whenever you drink, one drink leads to another, and then all of a sudden you are emboldened in your speech and you just say all kinds of stuff very confidently and it comes out the wrong way. And you start stretching the truth. You start over-exaggerating. You even start lying, but you're trying, and you're not sure why you're saying all these things. But when you reflect, you realize, oh, it happens whenever I drink too much. So maybe a good Lenten penance is to give up alcohol. So those are just some ways in which, directly related, it could be very beneficial for you. But there's also indirectly related penances. So maybe you'll give up coffee, or maybe you'll give up sweets, or maybe you'll give up, warm showers. You'll take cold showers or something. And maybe, just the inconvenience of that, you'll just like apply it. Like whenever you feel the inconvenience, like you really want that coffee and that caffeine and it's like you just can't have it. It's like, okay, maybe you say, okay, Lord, I offer this up so that I can have a purified mind. Or I offer this up so that I can grow in my strengthening to be more patient and less angry. Or I offer this up to you so that I can build the courage to say the truth. So like, it's indirectly related because it becomes a prayer, but you apply it. You apply it to your growth in virtue. It's all that to say. Just encourage you, a couple days away from Lent, think about what you're going to do. Don't just do something because someone else is doing it, but really reflect on your why so that we can all be more deeply transformed by God's grace so that we can be truly healthy and certainly to avoid the major serious cardiac events on a spiritual level. Amen. Hey guys, thanks again for listening to our podcast. Don't forget to click the links below to learn more about our mission. Thanks.